If you are an overthinker, you don't want to create more time and space for yourself to think. And this lesson took me way too long to learn. Because if you are like me, you already have a natural tendency to think deeply about life. And not just from a philosophical curiosity kind of place, but from a place of fear. Because you feel out of control, you feel unsafe, you feel uncertain. So you start overthinking things. And when I create too much time and space to think, to journal and reflect on life, this is when I start to question everything. My direction, the decisions that I'm making, how I'm doing things, because I need to get the perfect outcome. I need to feel in control. And when I start to think about these things and question everything, that's when I create doubt and hesitation. I become passive because I bring so many things into my awareness that I don't know, that I don't have an answer to, that I will not get an answer to, that are out of my control. So what is the experience that I create? I feel completely out of control. I feel all the uncertainty there is. And how do I think I gain back control over my life? By thinking more about this, by looking for the answers, by thinking my way to certainty. So by thinking more about it, I create even more uncertainty. I feel even more out of control. And this is the loop that I get stuck in way too much for my liking. And I also see so many people getting stuck in this loop, especially if they have a tendency to think a lot and to overthink things. Because when you start overthinking things and life becomes heavy and you feel these feelings, you usually become passive. You start to retract into your own bubble. But what happens is with all this time and space, you start to think more about what you're feeling and you think more about your thinking. And this is you digging the hole that you're already in even deeper. And that's why I think with certain angles when it comes to therapy and the way that psychologists work is they start to go too deep into certain feelings and thinking. And this is when the hole becomes deeper and deeper that you're in, and good luck coming out of it. Because when I experience these heavy feelings and I start journaling on them, I start to reflect upon them, I go completely crazy. It doesn't solve any of my problems. I get even more stuck. Rarely when I journal about my feelings, I come to a beautiful conclusion that creates this peace and freedom in my life. I rarely create more freedom by thinking more about my thinking and thinking more about my feelings. And this is where I used to come from a place within personal development that, well, I need to take my thinking seriously because maybe it's trying to tell me something similar to my feelings. But I know my tendency in life. I know that I have a tendency to overthink things. So this is where I don't want to spend most of my time. I need to spend my time in the opposite. You don't solve the problem in the same place that you've created it. So when you create a problem by feeling out of control through thinking about life and questioning things, maybe you shouldn't be questioning all of these things even more. Maybe you shouldn't be questioning your questioning. Maybe you need to completely detach from this and do something else. So instead of thinking, you want to move to doing. And this is how I get rid of overthinking and doubt and hesitation. I need to do things. I need to get physical. So this could be a workout. I need to get active. I need to get into my body because meditation doesn't work for me as well. I don't need to create all of the stillness unless I go into the monastery where I'm forced to get still and create this peace. But I don't need meditation. I don't need to think more. I don't need to journal more. I don't need to reflect more. I need to get out of this. So I need to either get physical or I need to get into creation. And this is, I believe, the solution if you want to get rid of overthinking. Get into action. Do something, create something. So when I, for example, think about content creation, I can overthink the shit out of this. And because there are also so many variables that you can focus on. There are so many variables that you can play with. I'm, for example, right now preparing to launch ads for a free training that I've created, the OM method. So I've been doing some research in creating ads and all of this stuff. And now there are so many variables in my awareness that I can play with when it comes to running ads that I just get stuck. I get paralyzed by all the possibilities that are out there because I have no control over it. And I try to gain control by doing more research, by more preparation. But this is how I get even more stuck. So how do I get out of this? By creating, by simply doing things, by just launching them, similar to the videos. Why am I creating daily YouTube videos? Because it gets me out of the overthinking. I'm not after any specific results or anything like that. I want to get into the habit of creation. That is my intention. Because if I start to prepare certain scripts, and I start to look for ways to optimize the titles and optimize the thumbnails, optimize the scripts. and the call to actions and the hooks and this and that, I just get lost in thinking. It's too much in the head. And I already am, let's say, head dominant. So this is where I want to get into my body. I want to feel things. I don't want to create intellectual understanding. I want to create deep experiential knowing. And I do this by doing things, by creating things. So this is also why I committed to creating daily YouTube videos, because it gets me in the habit of creation. And it gets me out of the head, and I'll optimize along the way, because I believe in action breeds clarity. If you are looking for clarity, if you are looking for that certainty, you're not going to create the certainty by thinking about it, by knowing every single step along the way. You're going to create the clarity that you're looking for by taking action. If you want to, we're talking about content creation. If you want to create content and you don't exactly know where to start and what type of content you want to create and what you want to talk about, you have some kind of direction. You already feel drawn towards a certain direction. The way that you create clarity is by doing things, by starting with the creation process, by turning on the camera and you start talking and you post a video and then you do it again and you do it again. And this is how you create the clarity, because through this action, through creation, you start to feel things, you start to realize things. And these are the insights that you're looking for. These are the insights that you're trying to get to by thinking. But you only get to these answers by this experience. Because when you're completely immersed in anything that you're creating, that's when the answers start popping up. The answers start popping up when you have no time to think about them. Because then there's the freedom inside of you for the answers to come up. Because with the thinking and the anxiously looking, things become tense. You can't access the deeper truths that are inside of you by overthinking, because of the tenseness that's there. That's why in the creation process, you become free. And that's how you create the most amount of insights. So action breeds clarity is something that I strongly believe in, and not just motion. You don't want to just do things. Like doing can be very helpful to get out of the overthinking, but you want to have the motion, the motion to be intentional. And this is where the action comes into play. I believe action is intentional motion, because you already know kind of directions that you want to go into. You already know that you want to start posting videos, for example. You already know that you want to get into the best shape of your life. And if you think, well, I don't know what sport is right for me, I don't know what to do, try something, do something. Start lifting weights, start running, start going to martial arts classes, try kickboxing, try Brazilian jiu-jitsu or anything like that, and you will experience the answers. You can't think your way to answers. You experience the answers. That's the thing that you want to go after. So this is what I'm also reminding myself of constantly whenever I get stuck in loops of thinking. And today I had one of those moments. That's why I'm also creating these videos. I need to do something. I need to get into creation. I don't need to plan more. Like, I already have way too much clarity. I have all the clarity that I need to get moving. You only need to know the first steps. That's all that you need to know.